Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Really. Pardon the Politics Podcast.
Well, we're coming to that time in the episode where we'd like to just talk about some things that the media is not necessarily watching or not watching as loudly with our spotlights of the week. And Chuck, I'll kick it to you. What is your spotlight of the week?
Brother. Well, my spotlight it's been talked about. But the fashion that has been talked about, I don't know if they talked about it nearly enough.
Or probably not the way we need to talk about it.
That's what I was about to say. Or it wasn't talked about in the way that we needed to be talked about. So, if you have not heard, SpaceX is about to have their IPO on this week. I want to say it's the 12th is the prospective date for their IPO. And for those who don't know, IPO is initial purchase offering. And they're going on to have a NASDAQ listing. And that NASDAQ listing ticker is SPCX. And they're looking to drop shares at the tune of a projected or targeting IPO price of $135 a share, offering 556.6 million shares, aiming to raise $75 billion at a valuation of $1.75 trillion, which would make this the largest IPO in stock market history. Wonderful. I hope you hear the sarcasm. But here's my thing. There are a lot of rules that are set in place when IPOs happen. There are a lot of safeguards and guardrails that are put in place when IPOs happen. Guess what, people? These safeguards, guardrails, and rules have been rolled back, have been repealed, have been taken down. I won't dive too deep because this is the spotlight, and I just want to make you aware of this. This is for educational purposes and informational. But here's the thing. Number one, I don't trust Elon. That's number one. You saw what he did with DOGE. You've seen what he's done with other things, but I don't trust Elon. Now, this push to go public is driven largely by the spectacular growth of Starlink. I don't trust Starlink. Starlink, if for you who don't know, is SpaceX's satellite internet service, allowing you to have access to the internet anywhere you go with connecting to a satellite in the sky, no matter the remote location that you are. In theory, you're supposed to be able to have a internet connection via that satellite. You can also, it affords those who live in rural areas the opportunity to have access to internet, an internet connection that's more reliable than many of the offerings that's available to them now. There are some cell phones that are already equipped to be able to take advantage of Starlink. Some of your carriers have already set deals in place with SpaceX to have that capability automatically on your phone because the chips are already in your phone. Kind of the reason I haven't upgraded my phone. But we won't talk about that. But here's the thing. As far as this IPO, the mathematics of this valuation don't make sense. The $1.75 trillion range for this valuation is insane. Just to give you an idea, SpaceX reported a $2.6 billion loss in 2025.
Like they spent more money than they took in. Just so I'm clear.
If their books was a bank account statement, it would be red.
Okay. Thank you for that clarity.
Yes, sir. So you lost $2.6 billion just last year, but you want us to raise 75 billion on your behalf with the IPO. And I'm supposed to feel good about this? This is like giving your money to your cousin who don't ever pay you back. And they keep coming asking you for money. That's what that's like. And then also, as I stated, these red flags, there's more. Guess how much voting power Elon will control with this IPO? For those who don't know, when you purchase stock, you're a shareholder. You have a certain percentage of voting power as a shareholder consummate to how much stock you hold. Yeah, it's not going to be the case here. Elon will retain roughly 85% of voting control of SpaceX, giving minority shareholders very limited influence, power, governance. 85%. One man. Kanye eloquently said no one man should have all this power. So much so that there's a private equity fund in Denmark that has blacklisted this stock. This fund holds over $25 billion. And they said their exact words were the governance structure of this is catastrophic. And the stock is grossly overvalued. But furthermore, the valuation aside, the governance is enough to give pause for them with him holding 85% of voting power. Now let's look at this. It is theorized that this IPO has been set up to help fund and pay for the AI race. I told you that Elon was just in a court case with OpenAI and their founder. He lost. Shocker there. But also, he took his ex-AI company that he spun off and created after leaving OpenAI as one of their chief and primary funders. And he merged XAI with SpaceX and caused a conglomerate. And as my good brother Manny has told you, this AI race has not only become more and more expensive, it's costing these companies more and more money.
Whole lot of money.
In fact, XAI lost $6 billion in 2025 and is projected to burn through $10 billion in 2026. So if we're doing math, we have a loss of $2.6 billion by SpaceX, a loss of $6 billion by XAI in 2025. So we're at 8.5, 8.6 million with a projected 10 billion loss this year. That puts us at 18.6. And the cost of AI is not getting any cheaper. Now they try to get a little reprieve and say, well, Starlink turned a profit. Well, Starlink can't fund SpaceX and XAI. So guess what they want to do? Get you to fund it. But one of my biggest concerns was the regulatory peel back of how soon that SpaceX can be accessed by the markets and by the I'm losing the term, retail consumer,
Retail investors.
retail investor. They've peeled that back. Normally isn't what is it? I was about to say 6 months. It's an extended period of time before retail investors can get their hands on it from a 401k standpoint, not to purchase the IPO. You can purchase the IPO, but before it's available for you to access through ETFs, which primarily, I can say primarily, it all depends on the structure of your 401k. But where many 401ks, especially nowadays, have shifted to stabilize and either and or get a gain on your 401k, a lot of them has gone into the tech sector. Well, this safeguard to allow for an IPO to have shown some stability over time, because that's what it's for. Not just somebody hot in the moment, stock to come in, take off, you put your money in it, you shift and not have a full diversification of your funds, and you jump in it and then it tanks and now your money's gone.
Yep.
And now you've put in 20 something years at this big company making X amount of money, and when you retire, you got to go be a greeter at Walmart to supplement your income. That's what these safeguards are for. But the government said, oh no, this is Elon, this is our boy, I'm gonna pull this back. Remember them losses I told y'all about? There's many people who are apprehensive, not so much about the IPO as it is about the government peeling back these regulations and safeguards so cavalier. Be careful, people. Now, there are ways to make money off this. Research them, take advantage of them, because there's going to be a bunch of money made. But there's a lot of caution that's afoot, particularly for an extended period of time with this IPO. That's my spotlight, brother.
Once again, this is not a financial podcast, and we are not financial experts. So please do consult a professional when investing. But yeah, this is something we'll be keeping our eye on. Oh man, well, for my spotlight, Chuck, you remember we did that prayer and we wanted just if the good Lord's ready, come on down. Go ahead and throw on them Air Moses 7s. And make your way down, because the chaos continues. So on top of all the other good news here in America, because we're just chock full of good news at this point,
man,
a flesh-eating parasite that America eradicated from our ecosystem 60 years ago just showed up in a Texas calf. And on top of gas prices, on top of food prices also going up, we are now potentially seeing an impact in our beef industry. So on June 3rd, the USDA confirmed the detection of the New World screwworm in a 3-week-old calf in Zavala County, Texas.
Sounds about right.
Yep, we'll go with that. The larvae was found in a calf's umbilical cord area, and we haven't seen screwworm in the United States since 1966. So a screwworm is a fly larvae that enters living flesh and leaves behind open wounds that it will essentially just kill cattle in about a week. But not only can they go after cattle, They can hit dogs, cats, birds, and humans. So, yeah, and it moves
Yeah.
pretty fast. So, how we essentially got here is we had, when it started, there was a big effort from the US to just push it back. And we did. We pushed it all the way back into Central America to kind of keep everything at bay. So there was a very large biological barrier. What the US largely did was take um, engineered flies, I'll call them, and release them into the ecosystem to basically keep it at bay. Well, it's been progressively making its way all the way through Central America, and basically it was a very slow collapse. So COVID in 2022 slowed the production of all these flies to keep them at bay. In Panama, they do see cases, but in 2023, they saw their number of cases jump from 25 cases a year to an excess of 66,500 cases. So barrier's gone. It's making its way.
Terrible.
In November of 2024, did anything happen in November of 2024? I can't put I can't put my finger on it, but
Some big
you know,
event that people made a hoopla about. I don't
yeah,
remember.
okay. But the first cases were confirmed in Mexico. At that point, the USDA ramped up mitigation efforts. Congress was being briefed, and people were yelling very loudly about it. A couple months later, in May 25, the USDA said, "Hey, we don't want any livestock imports from Mexico." The very first time we've closed our borders to that standpoint. And cases were found about 700 miles from the US border. Then something happened in the spring, and there was a DOGE, and DOGE came in. And I feel like we
Oh,
haven't
good
been
old
able to
Doge.
we haven't been able to do an episode without talking about DOGE causing impacts. But DOGE did a 15% cut to the USDA workforce. And in that killed about 5,300 plus grants, including a screwworm monitoring project.
No
So,
way.
yeah. So screw that hasn't been here in years. We don't need this. So in July 2025, there were some cases that were then reported 370 miles from the US border. That's a lot of miles for a fly. I'm just saying. Flies ain't but that
Facts.
big. It's a lot of miles and a lot of time. So from July 2025 to September, screwworm was detected in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, which is about 70 miles from the US border. So this year, the USDA said, okay, dump all the flies, send all the flies to southern Mexico. Let's try to stop it. And then
Too
by
late.
late May, it was detected 25 miles from the US border, and 1 week later, it ended up crossing it. And that leads us today where we have now seen, that first case hop into the US. And now, as of June 5th, there's been a second confirmed case from a 1-month-old calf about 6 miles away from the first calf. And yeah, so Governor Abbott has expanded and created a disaster declaration and is deploying all state resources. Then following up, Canada has now said, "Hey, y'all, we don't need
We
any
don't want it.
livestock from Texas, so
We don't
go
want
ahead
it.
and keep all that down there." We spent years developing this control. And we've seen it fall apart since COVID. We can't put this all on the administration. It's a systematic, roll down, but we obviously didn't help it. Now, a lot of the infrastructure to stop it is focusing on producing these flies. So there is a Panama group that puts out basically 100 million flies a week, and it's the only operational facility, but it's only about 90% funded by the USDA, and it was built in 2026. There's been another production facility that started its groundbreaking in April, but it's not going to be operational until November 2027, and it won't be at full capacity until 2028. So this is something that is going to wreak havoc. I think that is easily going to be a problem, and to think that America has been paying record high beef prices over the last year. Part of that is because we closed off, livestock from Mexico. And we closed it off in hopes of stopping this, and that did not work.
And then they said we were gonna get the beef from Argentina.
That's what we said. That's what we said. And then on top of that, again, farmers in
the raw deal
larger
again.
situation. Yeah, because already they were looking at cattle herds that I believe were at like a 70-year low. Haven't had cattle this small, this herds this small. So now you take away a major country in which you export those to. Now you're also having to try to protect your herd. This is real money we're losing. This is not theoretical things that we can just say, oh, we'll deal with that. That's something we kind of need to react and deal with now, and to eliminate and cut. And this isn't the only program that had been cut into impacted.
Oh no!
And there are questions about. We see the dismantling of the underwater detection system that took us 25 years to set up. That we're turning off.
When I saw that, and what are y'all thinking?
Right. And for those of you that are like, well, what is that detection? It's used to monitor the seafloor and seabed. I think one of the biggest recent topics that we heard about this underwater detection thing is with Ocean Gate picking up that the submarine imploding when it happened.
Yeah,
like we keep disabling and shutting down programs just because
that have been beneficial.
Right, just because things aren't an issue now doesn't mean the infrastructure that is linked to it is still not important to keep those things running. So obviously this is going to be another squeeze on the farmers. This is going to be another squeeze on American dollars. And we were already seeing the habits of consumers switching away from beef because of the price of that. And again, this can potentially not only just impact beef. While they're the target, it can affect other different types of cattle. So the ripple effect that we are now going to start seeing because of this, in a time that we're already being hit from the left and the right, it's going to be a situation, and it's going to be a readily evolving situation, because now the question is, from our southern border, how do we prevent it from going further? How do we start pushing it back? What other resources can we deploy to address it? The Republican nominee for the Texas Agriculture Commissioner called this an agricultural emergency. I mean, I don't think there's a better way to describe this. But I think the question for the administration is, how do we prevent this emergency to turning into a disaster?
James Tellerico. It's at the rim. The ball is at the rim. It's at the rim.
And I think the larger question, I think the American people now also have to look at with this is, can we depend on our government to solve hard problems?
No. I can tell you no. Now, because just like this screwworm had been eradicated, hadn't been seen since 1966. I think was the year that they said we had measles outbreaks this year.
We did.
We haven't had measles outbreaks since eons ago, decades ago.
Yeah.
Like things that we have had a handle on are starting to rear its head because of, like you said it perfectly, Manny, just because we don't see a problem now does not mean we can stop and it won't be a problem in the future. Because they made that push for, oh, we don't need measles vaccines. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Until you get measles.
Until you get it.
So, if you want to follow this, there has been a site put out there. It's called screwworm.gov. And in any other context, I would tell you guys this sounds like a completely made up government website, but it's not. So you can check there. That's the USDA's, them watching it, them posting news. But this is something that we have to get a hold on now. Can we get containment? Is containment actually a realistic goal for this situation? I'm not an expert. If any of our listeners out there are experts in animal science, I would love to find out if containment is even feasible, or whether we need to start thinking about option B, C, D, and E for dealing with this situation.
Well, it was at one point because they had it contained, handled, and eradicated.
Yeah. So that is my spotlight of the week. And with that, we've hit the conclusion of this episode. Chuck, any thoughts, statements you want to get off your chest?
Brother, there's so much, but for the sake of time, only thing I have to say is World Cup is starting this week.
It is.
First match is on Thursday the 11th. I think I saw a report that there's still 70,000 hotel rooms available here in Atlanta, out of what they estimated, because people have screwed things up with this World Cup being in the States. But I'm excited.
No,
I'm ready for somebody get something. Yeah. But I'm excited for the games. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. That's all I have, man. World Cup. Let's go.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, go USA. We're gonna pull. I'm gonna pull for the home team as much, but I will very quickly adopt another team once we probably get bounced in group stage. And
you get my support when you get my support when you show me you worth it. Yeah, get to the round of 16, then I'll root for you.
And I think it's safe to say that was just a purely soccer comment. That wasn't even a comment on politics.
No, straight soccer, straight soccer.
So we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, share, follow, comment. We're here. We're talking back with you guys. Let us know your thoughts. And remember, as we always say here at the pod, if don't no one else love you guys, then you already know the boys here at the pod. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys at the next episode.
Peace.
I'm back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Really. Pardon the Politics Podcast.